This is Mentally Dope. Join us, Charmaine and Jasmine, two Black licensed therapists, as we build a bridge between mental health and Black culture. Come on, it's gonna be dope.
Hey guys, we are back with another episode of Mentally Dope. It's me, Charmaine.
It's me, Jasmine.
Yes.
What's up, y'all?
Yes.
Okay, so of course you clicked on the video. You already know we're gonna be talking about the Jamie Foxx show today. But just for a moment, just come with me here, okay, on this mental and visual journey. Just for a moment, I'm talking to you directly. We've been talking for a long time. You've been loyal to us for a long time. I feel like we've been rocking real hard for a long time. So I think it's about time for us to kind of like define the relationship. We are ready to make it exclusive. So, really what I'm asking you to is like, if it's real to you, you know what I'm saying? If you really feel it right here, I want you to subscribe. I mean, I know it's a big commitment. I know it's like you are like declaring your love for us publicly, but what are the consequences, really? We've been doing this thing for a long time. Go ahead and subscribe.
Stop playing the
video. You know what I'm saying? Stop playing. Let us know that you are the one for us and that we are the one for you. Okay?
I feel like at some point I'm starting to do my bounce. Tell me what you want.
Just hear my background dancer right here.
Tell me what you need.
I need you to go ahead and make a commitment. We are defining a relationship. And if you're new here and you're not sure, but you want to let us know that you think about us, like the video. Like the video so we know, right? Because how we gonna know if you don't tell us?
I see me, see you, see me.
Exactly. And we see you. Okay? So that's all. I just want y'all, make it public. Let somebody know.
She said what she said.
Now let's move on to the video.
Okay. So on today's episode, let's go. On today's episode, we are talking about Jamie Foxx show. Mm-hmm. Y'all know that there's a plethora of shows, but there was one particular episode, season 3, episode 13. It's called Scared in the Mug.
It's called what?
Scared in the Mug. That right there, let you know. Mm-hmm. So in this particular scene, Aunt Helen. Mm-hmm. Aunt Helen is going to the bank and she gets mugged. Mm-hmm. Not funny, but I'm just saying. But Aunt Helen is going to the bank.
Yes, you watch the Jamie Foxx show.
The show
it's
makes
funny.
Everything comical. But in the episode, Aunt Helen is going to the bank. She gets mugged. The person steals her purse, steals her wedding ring. It's very traumatic for Aunt Helen, and she decides, I ain't leaving the hotel no more. Mm-hmm. Ever. Very dramatic.
In a very dramatic fashion.
I'm never leaving here again.
And then runs off, and everybody's like, oh no, Aunt Helen, like it's a lot.
The music is playing, dun dun dun. Mm-hmm. So then we roll through some stuff. We roll through some stigmas against therapy. Some how we deal with trauma.
Yeah, and it's the whole process of how we get help for Aunt Helen.
And then we deal with a therapist that comes in that made every therapist clutch their pearls. Like, what just happened?
Right. Therapists are screaming at the TV. Okay.
I was screaming at the TV.
It's ridiculous, but it's okay. We understand it's our profession. We're going to feel some type of way about it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it matters, right? There's a bigger picture here.
Yeah.
So let's start from the beginning.
First things first. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's right. But first things first, I pop up for stuff.
Sorry, I didn't know what you was going to say.
So, yeah, B always comes out. But first thing that we're going through is the stigma around therapy.
Okay, yeah. So what happened was Aunt Helen went through something traumatic. She comes. She's clearly upset. And the family is trying to figure out, like, what we going to do? Mm-hmm. How are we going to help her?
Because she had not left the hotel in like 2 weeks at this point.
She said she wasn't going to leave, and everybody's like, something wrong. Like, we have problems. Mm-hmm. We need to figure this out. And what's the first thing they suggest? Do you remember?
Church. I do believe.
Something like that. Yeah, church, I think.
Or did Jamie say the psychic?
Oh, now I forget. See, now you. Oh, yes. No. Okay. He did say call psychic. But he did. First it was church.
Let's just pause. Jamie said for her to call it psychic. I'm just going
to... Right. Our choices were go to church, go talk to the pastor, call a psychic, which... What was the purpose of that?
I don't know.
To see if she was going to get mugged again? Like, what was... I don't know.
To see her future.
That was another option. The third option was to call a therapist. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. Does that mean there's some stigma there that the third option down the list was called therapist before all these other things?
And then even when I think that it was Fancy who mentioned Fancy Pants who mentioned them calling a therapist, Jamie was like, "We don't do therapy. We black."
Ain't no wrong with her. This is what he said, but clearly we have some things to work out. So like, yeah, we need something.
So
I think they try it though.
Yeah.
Uncle goes to therapy. What's his name?
Uncle Junior.
Yeah. He goes to, no, he doesn't go there. He goes to church.
To church, yes.
And he said, "Did you know I'm a sinner?"
Yes.
It was a revelation to him. I don't know if they do go to the psychic, but for some reason that was not a viable option.
Which is good.
So they go to therapy. They get a black therapist to come to the hotel.
Yes. Shout out to Dawnn Lewis. Came in looking gorgeous as always.
Right. And they cheered for her and everything. They knew exactly what was going on. But you could tell right then there was a lot of aversion to actually calling a therapist to help Aunt Helen solve this problem.
Because for one of the first things that Jamie said was that therapy was for crazy people. Like, so there was that stigma that we don't do therapy. That's for like people who are crazy, which that's a whole stigmatized word within itself. And then for two, he talked about the price. I think he said that if I'm going to spend that much for therapy, I need somebody on the couch with me.
Which I believe her prices were like $140. So back in the day, that's a lot of money too. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of money now.
Yes. But let's
even
pause
more
there for a minute, because that's something that we hear a lot, that therapy is expensive. And I think that one of the things we talk about, and I've seen people say this on TV shows about like how much therapy is. First of all, therapy is covered under your insurance. So most people don't pay that full price for therapy. They may pay nothing. They may pay a
in most situations, in most insurances, therapy is covered. It's not covered for everybody all the time.
Yes.
But in most situations and most insurances cover therapy.
Yes.
Just like they cover a doctor's visit.
But
and there's a copay.
But also the same way that you're saying that the doctors, that most therapists are not treated with the same respect of dealing with someone's mind and their mental that people are treated with the physical. So why is there an idea that therapists should be paid less for the work that they're doing?
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. I thought you were saying something else, but yes.
Yes. So there's the whole idea that therapy is going to be super duper expensive. You don't know until you try. And there's also a whole lot of other options that we could list if you cannot afford therapy, or if you cannot afford the price that therapy is being offered for you.
But usually, especially for Black and brown people, that's kind of the lowest thing for us.
Yeah.
We have to get past all of this other stuff before we even get to the practical stuff about therapy.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much stigma around it. We can't even wrap our minds around going or trying it or talking to someone that, like, we never even get to, is it affordable? How do we find a person?
Yeah. So then we're going to go into this other part about what exactly was the cause for Aunt Helen needing therapy. Because there was the idea that, okay, like, did nothing like really happen to her. She was okay. I mean, and of course, like, we do say things of comfort of, like, she wasn't hurt. She was like, something was just like stolen from her. So then defining what was traumatic about this situation and what what made this situation a trauma situation.
How do we know that after a bad thing happens that a person needs to go to see a therapist or they could benefit from that? Is that what you're asking?
Yes. And for me, I always say that trauma is not in the event, it's in the message that is received from the event. So if she was mugged and she received the message that now outside is unsafe, that's what makes it more traumatic to me. Because now,
and things change after that too, right? Like, two people can go through the same event and they can be just as traumatic, quote unquote, and still deal with it and still, as I say, like, digest it differently. So part of the problem was that after the event, Aunt Helen wasn't leaving. She was generalizing her anxiety to everything, that, like, not just, I can't go to the bank anymore because this bad thing happened. I can't leave this safe place anymore because this bad thing is happening. So once your behaviors start playing off of whatever it is you learned from that traumatic event, that, like, outside of this place is unsafe, then definitely you need some support to get back to whatever was normal for you.
Yeah, 100%. And so, like, just like being able to identify that of her I mean, not even so much her, but about like people trying to explain what makes things traumatic for them or makes them dealing with that. So
Speak on that.
So then, like, combining the two, me trying to explain that something has shifted within me, and then also the fact that you don't think that this is real. I'm just crazy.
Did somebody say that? I'm trying to remember.
I don't.
They didn't like minimize or anything? You're just talking about in general?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then also we had to deal with, but what we did see was them trying to treat her themselves by trying to force her out of the hotel.
Making her leave. Pushing her before she's even ready to make anything happen. And I think maybe that feels helpful. That feels like something 100%. You can do as a support person. But that also, I mean, I think we know enough to know that still doesn't work. That also causes more stress. It causes conflict between you and the person, and it also causes more stress within the person that they have to do something they don't feel ready for.
Yeah, 100%. Because if I don't feel like that the area is safe, but then you force me to go into the unsafe area, all you're doing is making it worse for me.
Right. Without fixing the reason why you think it's unsafe.
Yes.
That's part of the thing. Without managing that, well, it's gonna be the same results.
100%.
Okay.
So then comes in the therapist.
Well, before we get to that, can we talk about avoidance, which we need to talk about a little bit. That, like, avoidance is a cute little therapy word that essentially means you're behaving in a way that helps you avoid whatever you're stressed about. For lots of us, that's like procrastination. It's our favorite way. Avoidance, the best way that people do that is procrastination. But there's lots of other ways you can do it. But we saw that in isolation, many things. And Aunt Helen, in that after the thing happened, she started cleaning everything. Like, she had there's so much dust in here! And she starts screaming and trying to clean everything because she doesn't want to deal with the fact that this traumatic thing happened to her.
That's when Jamie said that she was crazy, when he saw her in the elevator with the backpack on her back trying to suck out all the dust. Right. And he was like, never mind. She
doing a little Ghostbuster situation.
She might need therapy.
Right. But we could have done therapy before we even got to that point. Right? We could have handled the situation differently. But that's to say that avoidance is usually a part of anxiety. If you're avoiding something, you're having trouble managing your emotions around this thing. And so instead of dealing with it, you're doing other things so that you don't have to deal with it. And it only prolongs the stress. Yeah. It doesn't solve your problem. It prolongs the stress. That's it.
Yeah, 100%.
And so that's what she was doing. And we'll talk about avoidance more later in this. But as we go to her therapist, Dr. Kanella.
Yeah. Dr. Kanella comes in.
Dr. Kanella with her Bantu knots, oiled to the gods.
She was fine.
The 90s was a good time, man.
She was fine. But she came in.
She had a certain style. We'll say that.
I mean, she came in. I'm scratching my head for real. She came in and she did some things. She did some things that just made us question. That of course, as a therapist, you look at it with the therapist's eye, like, Dr. Kanella, what you doing? She diagnosed Helen. She has a full breakdown in the session and starts going into her own stuff.
So many things.
Yeah, she ends up asking Helen for her card so she can come back and see her multiple times a week. And it almost increases the stigma of therapy of clearly that didn't work. Because clearly this is how we end it. We end it with the therapist saying, well, I've had a revelation. I don't even like men.
Okay, we need to break it down. Hold on. You're going real fast. So when Dr. Kanella comes in, she says something like, you have agoraphobia. Says it right out the gate. We're in the middle of the lobby. Okay. This is our first problem in front of everybody. And she's like, girl, you have agoraphobia. What's going on? You haven't met the client. You haven't done all of these things. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But to just, first of all, be using words. If someone comes up to you and be like, you got agoraphobia, I got questions and I got problems. You don't even know me like that. Yeah. Why are you telling me what I am? And saying things that I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
I got problems. I'm ready to fight, probably. So there's that. Then we go up to the room and they have conversations. And I really was rubbed wrong about the way that the therapist was telling her what she needs to do. This is what you need to do. This is your problem. This is actually what you got to do.
We don't give advice.
And we don't even talk to people that way. Like, I don't tell people
shouldn't.
what you... Well, we'll say that. We should not. And, like, you know, that's different. There's a way that you talk to people when you have a good rapport with them, when you have a good relationship with them. But you definitely don't say, this is how you need to heal. Because that's unique to every person. Everybody gets to
100%.
choose that for themselves. We just help.
And then you're pushing something off on them that their feelings might not be able to handle at the moment.
Or they're not ready for it. She's clearly telling you, I think at the beginning, like, I don't know you. What are you doing here? What's the point of this? And it's a therapist's job to earn that for people. You don't just come in and be like, tell me your life story, and then we'll figure it out, and we'll fix it, and all that stuff. Nah, there's so much to do.
Yeah, there's layers.
But then,
There's levels to this.
then the therapist wants to talk to Aunt Helen, to Aunt Helen about her relationship with her dad, because that gets brought up. So she talks about Aunt Helen's relationship with her dad, and then Aunt Helen starts to ask her personal questions, the therapist, and the therapist gets like sucked away and like, damn, I hate my dad. Like, I have problems. I have realizations. Like, I need to work out, and has her own personal breakthrough in Aunt Helen's session. No, no, we're not doing that either. So that's a problem.
Let's just go ahead and name this with a list of things that your therapist should not do. Like, that's what we're gonna call it. Things that your therapist should not do. Number 1.
They should not diagnose people they don't know.
Yes.
I could get on my soapbox about this, but you don't diagnose people that you just met 5 minutes ago. Whatever. Insurance asks us to do a lot of things.
Yes.
But you shouldn't diagnose people you don't know. You shouldn't point out whatever their diagnosis is in the middle of the lobby of their whole workplace.
HIPAA is a thing.
Yes, absolutely. HIPAA.
Yes.
HIPAA. Look it up if you'd like to. There's just so much wrong with that.
Your therapist should not have a breakdown in your session. If you are consulting your therapist, something has went completely wrong in this session.
We went off the tracks.
Literally.
We crashed. We're gone. It's done. Your therapist shouldn't be telling you more about their self, than you are expressing to them.
Yes.
So that's also a problem. They should
Yes.
not be having personal breakthroughs, right? I mean, I think, like we talked about before, like breaking the stigma, and how Jamie was like saying, like, if I need a therapist, like, it's going to be somebody with me on the couch. And there's this thing that I've heard people say, like, I'm not paying for a friend. Like, why would I pay for a friend? And I say that to say, your therapist is not your friend. And that is a good thing. That is a luxury to you, baby.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you do not want your therapist to be your friend. Yes. Because then your therapist is no longer able to be objective.
I need you to be the hired professional that I hired you to be.
Exactly. And there should not be a relationship, a personal relationship, where all you do is go to the person and dump all your emotions and things on them. That is not a relationship. But you can do that in therapy, because that's the purpose of therapy. It's not reciprocal.
Yeah, 100%.
On purpose.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Okay.
Okay? We got it. Okay, so no personal breakthroughs, absolutely. They should not be telling you how to get past it, because I think that's what I say. You just need to get past it. This is what you need to do to get past it. But again, the same thing could happen to two of the same people, and they could have two different ways of getting past it and
100%.
getting through it.
And then also just like think about like how hurtful that is for me. If I come to you and give you something like, oh, well, I was hurt outside, so I'm scared to go outside. And you should be like, you just like really need to get over it and go outside.
It dismisses your feelings.
Well, I know that I need to go outside at some point. But so thank you. That's like saying it hurts when I see my friend. Well, then don't go see your friend. That's an option.
But the point is for me to work through whatever I need to work through.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just... And I think some people do go to therapy looking for just an answer, but that's not really our job. If we're doing our job well, is not to just give you an answer. And like Charmaine said before, is also not to just give you advice.
Yeah.
Because what if I tell you to do something and it don't work?
100%.
It don't work out for you. Then what? Then what you gonna do?
Once again, there's levels to this.
We discover whatever it is the solution might be for you, and then we do trial and error. We see if it's going to work. We see if we can increase the likelihood of something working by tailoring it and making it specific to you, because it's yours. It's
Yep.
your healing, it's your process, it's your everything. Right? Okay, great. Things therapists shouldn't do also is use words that you don't understand. I mean, I understand. We therapists, we know lots of stuff. Even in these videos, we be saying words that maybe not everybody knows. They're like very therapist-y words.
Yes.
But your therapist should be able to break things down to you in a way that you understand.
Yeah, and hopefully, the goal is that you have a therapist that you have established a connection with and a relationship with, that you can tell them, hey, what that mean, and vice versa. Because my client may use the word that I'm like,
All the time.
explain that.
What you mean by that? What are you saying?
What is that?
That means this to me, but what does it mean to you?
Yes. So actually being comfortable in a space where you're not sitting there confused either as a client, like, she's saying words.
Right. She said that was a thing, but I don't know what that thing means. But nobody should be saying you're a thing without also y'all talking about it. You understanding the meaning of that. So going up to somebody and be like, you're agoraphobic. What does that mean? Why are you telling me that? There's no context to what you were telling me, and how does that help me?
Yeah.
How is that helpful? Sometimes I intentionally do not use the therapeutic clinical term with clients in general because it's not valuable to them.
100%.
They don't understand what I'm talking about, and what's the point?
100%.
If you don't understand what I'm talking about,
100%.
then I'm speaking another language.
Then we both over here just...
We're not talking to each other.
Yeah.
Not really. Not for reals. So what are some other things therapists shouldn't do?
I mean, I think the biggest one for me is your therapist should not be crying in your session. That was just a lot to me.
Okay, but let's talk about that for a second, because it's therapists have cried in sessions. Therapists
Not
can
crying
cry
about
in sessions.
their stuff.
Right. Exactly.
in
There's a
session.
difference.
Yeah.
If you're upset and a therapist is there with you and also shedding tears with you because something is terrible and they want you to feel the emotion and the empathy that they feel for you, yes, beautiful, appropriate.
But
Not
also,
appropriate.
that with that gets on another layer. This is not just for people, but also for therapists. Do your own work.
Always. Therapists need therapists. Go find yourself one.
Yes, do your own work so that you don't bleed through on your clients.
That's where the problem comes up, is that she was talking about her own father and bring up all this other stuff to where she got emotional and started crying about her own thing to where her client had to console her. 'Tis a problem. That's not, at that point, it's about you, it's not about the client.
And now we've also lost our therapeutic relationship because now I'm having to be there for you.
It's not therapy anymore.
Yeah.
We got a whole different type of relationship at that point.
So here we are.
There's a lot of things. Maybe we'll just make this a recurring segment. Things therapists should not do, because there's so many.
Yes. Or also maybe we need to talk about all the different shows, especially in the 90s, that showed some really terrible therapy sessions that I just think made the stigma even worse when it came to therapy because of the way that we were being portrayed on TV, which that's not real. It's not what it's supposed to be. And if this has ever been your reality when it comes to therapy, try again. Dust yourself off and try again. Because that's not how it's supposed to be.
Okay, anyway, ridiculous. Okay, so let's talk about what approach would you have taken with Miss Aunt Helen and the family?
Okay. For one, I think that you brought up a good point, that there probably did need to be some a family situation that happened because their work family was so close. It really was a family system, and
they were family. They were literally, not everybody was family, but most of them were family.
Junior and Jamie, were actually family. And one of the things that we struggle with, I know that me and you have had to talk personally in therapy, that when people come to therapy and they bring one person out the family and say, "Hey, fix them," guess what? When your family system is off, the whole system is off. So that's why family therapy is a really, really big thing. I think that they could have benefited from learning ways to support her and also be able to express how the family may have shifted. Because like you said, Aunt Helen was like the matriarch of the family. She led so much.
Which is probably why there was so much pressure for her to get help, because the rest of the family was off kilter.
Yes,
she was
everything
not
had
at her
shifted
best.
because you were not in your position anymore, so all of us had to shift in order to be there. And then like being able to discuss how that actually happened with them, so that would definitely be a thing. And then I would also, you know, just like try to do like more trauma work with Aunt Helen about what message did she receive after that event happened, and then see like, can we start there?
Fair. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, what am I supposed to answer the same question?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of the same. I mean, I think I would want to meet with the family separately. Like after I've met with Aunt Helen, I would want to meet with family and be like, what questions do y'all have about how you can support her? Like, how do I help y'all support her? Let me tell you what's normal. Let me tell you what's not normal, and what you see, and like help be a pair of eyes for me, that if it starts going here, then like let me know and we can talk about it. Because that's the purpose of support systems, right? That we're all supposed to come together, and like it takes a village type of situation. It's not just like that's her work and like she'll do it and we're just on our own over here. It's a group effort. And let's see, for her, I don't know. They only had one session. There wasn't enough time to really do much to me.
Yeah.
Like, I just getting her to buy in is the biggest thing, because I think Aunt Helen was on the fence. She was like, I don't need this.
100%.
What are we doing? I am a mature black woman. I do not need this, the thing that y'all trying to get me to do. There's nothing wrong with me.
That her control and her need to stay in her role completely went into mother role with the therapist. She baited her a little bit of like asking her, well, tell me about your dad. She did that in order to gain her control back.
Which is normal. It's a thing that people do in therapy. It's part of the avoidance, right? That this feeling or emotion is uncomfortable. I don't want to dive into it. So I am going to try to avoid it. Well, what do you do? What about your stuff, therapist? I don't want to talk about let's not talk about me right now. Let's talk about you. And her therapist took the bait.
Yep.
She allowed her to use her avoidance in session, so she didn't have to work on the thing she was there to work on, which also is a problem. Things your therapist shouldn't do. They should call you out on your crap so that you can get the help that you need, not just what you want and what's safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. But if this is my first session with somebody, I'm probably not going to be like, I'm probably not going to call them out on their avoidance like that right then. I'm just going to show up and just observe, see what's going on.
And build a bridge.
And try to get her to buy in.
Yep. I get it. I agree.
That's where I would start.
Let's start there. How do we support family members? How do we get support? How do we recognize trauma?
If this was your aunt, what would you do?
Ooh.
Like you were Jamie.
I don't know. I struggle really hard with being a therapist and then also family too, about like switching those dynamics, because I can't. I'm just saying,
what would you tell a non-therapist, a normal person? That's what I was going to say. A normal person to do if this was their aunt.
Yeah. Well, first I would validate the feelings that they're feeling, and I would normalize what it is they're feeling. So there'd be a lot of education on what trauma looked like and what it was that they would go, and what they were going through. So
what, they should like Google the information and then try to do it?
Tell them. But
they're not going to a therapist. I'm saying this happened to their aunt. How do you react? What do you even do?
Oh, yeah. But to me, like, the biggest thing is still support.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Validate the feelings.
And listen without trying to fix. That's a big one.
Just listen. Just ask. Keep asking. I think like when I come in contact with people who are in contact with other people who have been through hard stuff, they're like, well, I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to like re-traumatize them. I don't want to, I don't want to be like a downer. But I'm just like, this person is thinking about this thing in the back of their head all the time. It is okay for you to put words to that experience and give them a space to talk about it if they want to. They can always say, I don't want to talk about it.
Yep, 100%.
But for some people, it's hard to bring up because it's too much.
Yep.
Like they don't want to burden people with it.
If they don't have a fix for it, they don't want to bring it up because I have to have a fix.
Well, I can't really do anything about that, so we might as well just not talk about it. And then this person has to deal with this hard thing alone.
But most times that's more about us than it is about the other person.
Boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a lot, guys. A lot about how we support each other, how we recognize these things in our family members. As always, we just out here trying to stay mentally dope. That's just it.
Trying.
That's it.
And if there's something else you want us to do, is there another episode that we're missing? Did the 90s have a whole bunch of other episodes about therapists? I mean, I think we have, like, what were we talking about?
Living Single.
Living Single has
a different
one.
world.
A different world. We might
Yeah.
do a little bit of that, but, like, what have we missed?
Yeah.
What do you have questions about? Let us know.
Yeah.
Comment.
Throw it in the comments. Talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As always, stay mentally dope, and we'll catch you guys on the other side.
Bye.